A lot of
Boom,
popcorn.
light speed. We are live. Welcome to PÖST ZERÖ. How to navigate corporate life, not just corporate, but jobs in general. Mish, Jad of Arabia, made a great list of topics he wants to address today, which we shall go through. But first, gentlemen, how have you been?
Good. Been all right, man. It is Super Bowl Sunday here in America, so it's one of the American traditions here of gathering around together, watching football and everything. So it'll be fun tonight, hanging out with everybody and drinking some beer and watching guys beat the shit out of each other.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Gov, have you been?
Pretty dang good. Starting a new job in a couple weeks, and I'm looking forward to that. So it'll be probably one of the most meaningful jobs I've ever had. So I'll probably be there for a while, but it's a step into the most likely the good part of the corporate world, you know.
Nice.
So.
Nice. Nuke, how have you been?
Good. Working a lot. Kind of have now a more chill week this week. Hit 1,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube. So thanks
Nice.
everyone. Hit 10,000 on Twitter.
Nice.
And all that. And what else is going on? That's it, you know, just living life. Waiting to see if Taylor Swift gets proposed to, so all the girls will shut the hell up.
Oh, they're gonna talk even more, man.
What do you think is gonna happen? Like what are okay? It's probably gonna happen if Travis Kelce wins the Super Bowl. What are the women gonna think when there's a proposal?
I am predicting that it'll have a larger effect on the birth rates in America than any TradCon has in the last 100 years. So
Even the Christ Pill Bros, they couldn't get it done.
No, so shocking. I know.
They're gonna start taking the Swift pill.
I thought Taylor was a Democrat.
She is.
Jack.
Rules for me,
Jack.
but not for the or
Jack,
rules for
just
me,
why you, sir, are you caring about women's political opinions?
I'm just saying,
They are
the trans have got
non-existent.
nothing to do with her.
Well, they do and they don't. It's so strange. She bounces. Okay, so you have Candace Owens defending her because of the AI pornography stuff, and then you have her the next like a week later saying, "I think abortion is a Christian right." It's just like, what are you gonna do with this chick? You guys gotta figure it out. This is hilarious.
You just don't listen to her because she's a woman. She's there to make cookies, look pretty, and
you can't
talk
forget
nice.
You can't forget the global warming thing too. You know, she's all about that, but then she takes private jets all around the world.
I have
Oh,
something.
did you guys see my
Like
meme?
every other celebrity.
I have something for this.
Do not, I repeat, do not listen to women.
Thank you, Shu.
Shu.
Your very limited contribution. And,
Oh,
Do not. That's it.
do not. Mish, Habibi, have you been? If you can get unmuted.
I hope
I'm
he's
still driving around.
he's currently on his camel caravan back to a place with internet.
I'm currently on my camel right now.
You sound like you're Rajesh from tech support.
All the same.
Why did you redeem it?
La, 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 la.
Okay, Mish, let me know when you can unmute
Machine
yourself.
gun sounds in the background, rockets launching.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
type in the
exactly.
private
He's-
chat.
He's in a
I'm
war
gonna
zone.
go,
We're probably increasing the morale in their, troops over there with our sound.
Nice. I will go through his list. Benefits of having an actual job. The benefits of having an actual job. Now, the thing is, I'm just going to go through my perspective first, then I'm going to go around the panel. I would like to say it's a more stable income, like you know where it's coming from. You put in your hours, you get paid. Now, the thing is it really stable? We've seen a lot of things going on where even contracts are broken. You can lose your job at any time, things like that. However, you can make yourself as valuable as possible at the job, reducing that chance of happening. So with all of that said, it gives more peace of mind knowing where your income comes from. Nuke, what to you would be benefits of having an actual job?
Well, it's not that there's benefits, is that you need one. You need a job. If we look at people that I think everyone at some point should, unless you have a very incredibly entrepreneurial spirit, you need that kind of structure and that kind of understanding of hierarchy and socialization that a job brings you. Now, do I understand that there's a lot of feminized jobs where like women are usually the ones making the rules, the HR department, all that stuff, but hear me out on that. Like, for example, dealing with HR is an art. Dealing with women at the workplace is an art. It's not like I find that me being charming and also competent and also making decisions for helping women with their decisions, I'm already their favorite person, right? And that's basically guys that lack charm and charisma and don't understand how to navigate the workplace, even with their, the males in the space, they're going to suffer the most. And it's just another thing that you learn from the jobs, aside from the most important thing is being useful to society, right? And that's one of the things I had a lot of trouble with when I was like, I was a nuclear operator for the Navy. And like, if you weren't useful, you got told that every day. Stop being like, we had a word for people that were useless. We call them non-useful bodies or nubs, right? So when you qualify, you become useful and you can do stuff. But one of my biggest thing is that now that I'm doing this online shit, I realize like, how are people able to go through life talking about commentating and all that stuff and still feel like they're useful to society, right? So I think the most important thing about a job is that it lets you know that you're actually useful and that no one can take that away from you,
That's actually a pretty good point. Chest, good to see you again, man.
Hello. How is
Corporate
everyone?
adjacent.
Yes, that's right. Corporate adjacent. I'm the person who advises your boss to stop fucking up. That's the job of a lawyer most of the time, especially corporate law, is to just make sure that whoever is signing the checks doesn't steer the ship directly into the shore and and set everything on fire. Entrepreneurs are funny, especially internet entrepreneurs, because they basically have said, just grind harder, bro. That money will come to you somehow, some way. And in many cases, the best way to make money is to work for somebody else. So that crew might the bow-tied retard cadre of dipshits who are always posting things online about well, you got to start paying yourself as soon as possible and get away from all of these other jobs as quickly as possible. Well, I know a lot of guys who have been with the same company for years who make a phone number every year. they don't have to find their clients. They don't have to constantly sell themselves. It's because they perform a service that's invaluable to a certain niche. And that's what I always like to point out, is that certain service industries, even things that don't require a college education. I mean, if you're a pipe fitter, if you're a plumber, HVAC, in the South, especially, if you're working on heat exchangers and, those types of things during
raw materials for construction, that industry will never die. It's still growing.
Well, no, yeah. And the only thing that I worry about with the raw materials for construction is that the larger companies are all getting consolidated. I mean, like, like the steel companies, and the largest one in the United States just got bought by a Japanese conglomerate. So, I mean, you have to, look at that type of thing. But if you're just a employee on the ground and you're getting paid weekly, keep your head down, do your job, and, clock out and enjoy the rest of your life when you're not working. And that's another thing that people don't understand too, is that if you do own your own business like I do, or if you're constantly consulting, you need to make yourself available to everybody essentially 24/7 now, because of the internet and cell phones and all that type of stuff. If you work for a corporation and, you have a set schedule and you're going to be there for a certain amount of time, you can offload all of that mental anguish of having to constantly be on call or have your clients, issues on your mind all the time. The moment you leave work, you get to enjoy your life free from worrying about a meeting coming up or a trial coming up in 2 months or whatever, and you could allow it to escape your mind and not burden you. So I mean, a lot of the cost and the benefits that go along with higher paying jobs is a higher level of stress and a higher degree of responsibility for other people's lives and livelihoods that some people just don't want to take on, and I don't begrudge them for that. And having time to yourself away from where you work, I think, is very important. And a lot of people sometimes, especially those who are into just make money, don't understand that the whole point of making money in most cases is to recapture your time when you have a moment, and that's all the money is good for. If you don't have time to spend it, it's just going to go to the next generation, and maybe they'll figure out a way to spend it. But you're gonna die a very rich person and probably miserable.
After it's been inflated away too.
Sir, have you heard of the boomers?
Oh well, the problem with the boomers is that they very much enjoyed themselves all their life. A lot of them were hippies, and then they were yuppies in the 80s, and then when they started having their kids, they, depending on how late they had them, some of them are Xers, some of them are millennials, and they don't have a pot to piss in, many of them. A lot of the boomer generation are going to work right up until the day they die. And if they don't, and they take retirement at 67 or 65, a little bit later, they're going to be eating cat food because they're broke. They did not save. They were more interested in big houses, second properties, third cars, snowmobiles, four-wheelers, boats, all the toys. And when it came to saving, they thought that, the gravy train's never going to end. My generation's never had to really do anything other than just watch number go up. Numbers going up again when it comes to inflation, and it comes to, the general cost of living of everything. And, a lot of them are in a bad way. A lot of boomers don't have any savings at all. And then there's the other end of the spectrum, like Jack is saying, where they're trying to prolong their own lives as long as possible so they can continue to hoard that wealth, because there's a big movement among boomers and Gen X for longevity studies and longevity clinics. I mean, they'll swap your blood out for you. They'll put you on TRT for the youthful benefits of it. Lots and lots of different drug cocktails that are out there now, metformin, just different things that you can get on that will be custom tailored at a high expense by some physician, so that you can perform as a 40-year-old when you're in your 70s. And that's another big market right now, where people with means are going to try and hang on forever. I mean, you see our leadership. I mean,
it's basically all
right.
All COVID was too. Just the greatest transfer in the world from the youth to the old.
Yeah, and it will shift back where the wealth transfer is going to go back from the old to the young. But I'll tell you what, those old people are hanging on, with a clenched fist, and you're going to have to pry it from their cold dead hands. And they don't even pretend anymore that they're trying to better the next generation. They just want to, have their fun, pass sexually transmitted diseases back and forth to each other at the villages and shit. I mean, this is the type of people that they are. They haven't grown up since the 60s, and they're the same, freewheeling, consumptive assholes that they've always been.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of hate between the generations. And I think one of the biggest things is that it's just they think that they don't understand what the millennials are going through. They just kind of like, hey, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which is good advice sometimes. But I think at the same time, like, it's really insulting coming from them, you know?
Well, the funny thing about the phrase, the pull yourself up by your bootstraps, is that it's impossible to do. You're doing an impossible task. Think about it.
Or it's being made impossible by the people telling you to do it. And then you have Gen X, who's like, fuck you all, we'll burn it down.
Sit
Gen
down
X is,
and
Gen X is like
bootstraps up.
the best attitude to like have, I think. I think they got it right. I think they just don't care. They're like, whatever.
Mm-mm.
Like, yeah. I think
We'll rule
Kathy's
the
attitude is
ashes.
the best.
We'll rule the ashes. We don't care.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you got to remember, you know, that middle management guy, Gen Xer, who has been at the company for 25 years and knows where everything is and how everything works. You don't want to piss that guy off because he leaves and then you're fucked, because then you have boomer leadership and entry level guys who don't know anything trying to run a company. And and a lot of those guys know that. They're like, look, I'm not replaceable at this point because I know where all the bodies are buried, and I know how all of this old tech works, you know, in my department.
Yeah, and sometimes they know how the new tech works too. They're bridging the gap between two different.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing. Well, I mean, using myself as an example, I mean, I had my first email account in 1991. So you know, I've been on the internet. Yeah, I've been on the internet since the beginning, and I've always viewed it as a tool as opposed to a portion of my personality. And I think that's a big difference between, you know, us older guys and a lot of people growing up, is that, you know, cell phones and the internet was ubiquitous for people. And I saw it as something new and useful when I was, you know, 17, 18 years old. So I had a complete, you know, youth growing up without any of this technology, and everything still seemed to work fine. Prior to then, I just saw this more as an enhancement of, you know, what was available to use and to use it for productivity and for other things, as opposed to, this is the way the world is. This is how I experience the world. You know, I found it great that, you know, you basically have, especially once smartphones came out, you know, you have the Library of Alexandria sitting there in your hand, as far as what you can look up, what you can learn, and, you know, information at your fingertips. I mean, back when I was needing a lot of that stuff growing up, you know, you have to consult the Encyclopedia Britannica at your local library and hope that it's been updated and that the information isn't 14 years old, because the last copy of the encyclopedia they got was back in 1968 or whatever. So I mean, your ability to learn good information quickly now is better than it's ever been, but people now use it to,
post their ass online or in their
my ass in bio.
Yeah, exactly. My ass in bio. That's right.
Yeah, and that's a crazy thing where social media, I think, to me, is like the great kind of like litmus test for people that, you know how Ryan Stone says there's three types of people: the people that no matter where you drop them in history or in time or location, they're always going to come out on top. You drop them in a hut village in Vietnam and they come out leading the village or something. And there's people that need the right conditions to survive, you know, which is basically America. That's what they want to do. They want to make the right conditions to make the biggest middle class possible of happy people. And then you have people that you give them $1 million and they'll squander it in a week. You know, they'll throw it away. They'll lose it or whatever. And, you know, I think when you give people social media, you can see those three types manifest. There's people that use it and they're like, okay, I've been on Instagram for an hour. I got to cut myself off. Or, hey, I can use this to make money or to make my business more visible to people. And then there's people that are like, okay, well, I need to regulate my social media, so I'll just delete everything, because I like the impulsive people. Like I can't look at a pair of boobs online and not jerk off for 6 hours. So I can't use it. And there's people that like they're married, have 6 kids, whatever, and then they go online and they said, I'm going to destroy what's left of my sanity and my family's privacy by posting everything about my life and trying to use it to make $100 today on social media. And those are the 3 types. And I think it all comes down to like where you're at on that bell curve. Like, if you're a retard, I don't know if we can say that yet, but if you're a retard, your social media is going to destroy your life or make it suboptimal. But if you're not a retard, social media is going to make it so much better. And it's cool because sometimes I wake up and I'm like, my dishwasher's broken. I know for a fact that in 20 minutes, if I saw a YouTube video for 10 minutes, I know how to fix it as long as I have the right tools. And I can order the tools on Amazon and they'll be here in 24 hours. So it's like, why are we complaining so much about the internet and its effects on society? It just made the retards more retarded and the smart people more smart.
I mean,
I'm fine with that.
That's the thing. It just amplifies of what already was. Same as the
Like
news.
money.
Like, oh, yeah, well, money, of course, but like the stupidity in people. You hear that all the time where it's like, people just seem stupider these days. No, they're more accessible these days. They're more in your face these days. You can see it all around you because of the screen you carry.
Well, it's a bit of
with
both
you.
too. Like, because like people are getting dumber, and it's also way easier to see it.
I think they're just becoming more reliant on ubiquitous fast information. It's not that they're necessarily dumber, it's that they have less of an incentive to learn. Ignorance in many cases is held up as some kind of virtue. Well, I ain't gonna learn all that shit. TLDR, I ain't gonna fucking read that. I mean, it's the I'm too cool for school thing. Like, I experienced this in the 90s as well. There was a whole contingent of people who, especially when I was growing up in Detroit, the smarter black kids were always picked on because who's this chump trying to learn? Why are you coming to school every day? And it was weird because it was almost a badge of honor if you just didn't know shit. It was I don't know shit and I don't need to know shit. This ain't gonna help me sling these rocks. So why the fuck do I care? And that was the attitude. It was a if it doesn't help me get paid or if it doesn't help me get laid, I'm not gonna. I just don't need to learn that. And
you actually see that carry on into the corporate world too. The people that you work with, they have that same kind of attitude they adopted from that time.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people who still feel as though all of my time in school was basically wasted. If I could have just went to work at 13, everything would have been fine or whatever.
Yeah, and that was one positive thing I was going to say that comes from the corporate world. Sometimes is that sometimes you can learn a lot from a job that you take on. Like people can complain, oh, I'm working for corporate America and things like that, but the benefits that can come from it, for every positive or negative, there is the opposite. So, people can complain about their job, but a lot of them might not realize that they're actually going to be able to take a lot of the skills and experience that they get from that job with them for the rest of their lives if they apply it correctly.
Yeah, you can actually build up a retirement. You're not relying on your market funnel. You don't have to keep up with the latest trend on Twitter, which can be nice too.
Yeah, owning your own business sounds cool and everything, and I'm all about that. But you've got a lot more responsibilities to have to carry than having somebody do it for you if you're working a corporate job.
Yeah, and it never turns off, like Chesty said. You're constantly on the clock. Like there's businesses where you have to get woken up in the middle of the night to take care of an issue.
Yeah.
Like for example, if maybe you're a plumber, right? And you run your own plumbing company and there's some pipe burst, right? You need to go fix that pipe because you need to do something like you market it as, hey, 24/7 service. So you can't say no. You have to get up, right?
Mm-hmm. You get paid a lot for it too.
Yeah, you get paid a lot, but at 2 a.m. you've been drinking that night. It's a rough thing, but you do it and you get paid.
You bring up a good point because later on, Mish had something. By the way, Mish, you were unmuted. How have you been? Come on.
He was unmuted.
Yeah,
he's
he
on the
was
road.
on mute.
I think he's still on the road.
Camel Net is not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the C stands for on his picture.
Get those sand people to get the connection working. But Leash had a point in here. You brought up drinking, and I have a story about that. How to know when you will be fired. You brought up like drinking in the morning at 2 a.m. So my dad had his own trucking company, logistics company. And he had a couple of drivers working for him. And one of them, so this is a cautionary tale, people. If you have a job or whatever, when you're drinking, stay away from social media, kids.
Oh boy.
Yeah, here we go. Because one
yeah.
of the drivers rolled out of the bar at one night, posting on Facebook, "Oh, I have to work on Monday again for my crappy boss," and blah, 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 and whatever he said, not knowing that my dad is one of those people who wakes up at 2 a.m. in the morning every now and then, is bored, checks his Facebook, goes back to bed. So he saw that post. Next morning, of course, post was deleted. However, it had been seen.
Had been screenshotted.
So, I don't even know if he knows how to do that, in all honesty. But he knew the guy. He knew who posted it. So Monday morning, first thing that happens, hey, want to come in? Dad just shoves the contract in front of him. It's like, if we have a problem, you can sign it right now. And it'll be done. You no longer have to work for your horrible boss. Clear. And fortunately, everything got neatly resolved. But that is a thing where it's like, yeah, how do you mess all of this up? By stunts like that. And I've not only see it in logistics or whatever, I've seen this in, this is a long time ago, where I had an internship at government, and that was at the government program for people who were in debt. So you have to forgive me on that one. I don't know how to fully translate it into English. But they had people there. So the people who worked there, they helped out civilians who were in debt and things like that. Problem was the people who worked, or the people who put themselves up for that project, posted on social media all their trinkets and flashy new items while they were in help for their debt. Now, I assume that most of our audience is not that retarded, but I did want to have mentioned that, where it's like, look, if you're working somewhere where they might be liberal, don't start posting on social media that you're oh so conservative. It's like, you can wave the banner of free speech all day. I have a friend who've had that happen to him, who just retweeted something about the unspecified virus of unknown origins, and he applied for a higher function in his organization, and they found that tweet. And they were like, well, you kind of seem like a virus denier to us. And that's why they rejected him from the position.
Yep.
I think Red Hawk, would you have a story about this?
No, I don't. I mean, I've always stayed Anon. Ever since.
Kyle. It was Kyle Matovic.
Yeah, Kyle does have one. He and I were talking about this last week. Yeah.
Yeah, he had a good job at I forgot the company, but he had a dope job, and then they looked up like a post on Facebook or something, and he lost it. He lost a great cush, awesome job. And I'm just like, how many people you guys think got rejected or fired during the George Floyd stuff?
Enough.
Oh my God. A lot, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
That's a thing too. It's like, if you're gonna post anything on social media, especially Facebook particularly, you want to have that set as private, and a lot of people don't think about doing that. And
or just be neutral about everything. Just
Neutral,
post pictures of your dog. That's what I do.
If you're gonna post things and you're gonna make it public, then be neutral about it. Unless if you're gonna be unknown or borderline anon, even for that matter, as long as don't make yourself easily searchable. And some people, they want to have that fame so bad, they'll put their actual information out there, like real name on Twitter or something like that, and then they'll get found. I've known that to happen before.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've never understood why like you'd actually want to have your like personal stuff. Like, I mean, I have an Instagram account. It's private. Some of you guys follow me on there. We basically just send like memes back and forth. I never post it anywhere. I've got like 20 like family followers, and that's literally it. I mean, Twitter's my anonymous one where I can actually speak my mind and such, but I never understood why you'd want to, number one, cross streams with that. And number two, like, I don't want fucking random people following me on Instagram, seeing where I'm like vacationing and shit, seeing pictures of me with like girlfriends or friends or stuff. Fuck that. Like that's so weird to me.
But like that's kind of like a sense of entitlement in, I don't know if it's a generational thing or whatever, where I should be free to say whatever I want to say, where it's like, no, you are not. Whether you like it or not, you work for a corporation, and that corporation has a certain message they want to abide by and want you to fit in. When you are at the office, you are there for them, with them, and you talk like them. Because at the end of the day, whether you are right or wrong, you want to be happy. This is one of those cases, what is meant with, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? When your boss says, oh, the George Floyd thing is horrible and what a brave man he was, you say, yes, he was.
Or you just
I
agree.
don't know about.
Yeah,
And-
or just like, yeah, what's going on with that? And just let them talk.
Yeah, let him vent about it. That's fine. I was gonna say, and then people will complain about let's say, well, I have free speech, but whenever you think about it too, I mean, I don't know how it is over in Europe or any other part of the world, but here in the States, in a lot of states, we have at will. So they could cut you for any reason, and they don't even have to tell you it's the political reason. They'll just say,
They'll come up with something. They'll creative. They'll come up with something.
Exactly what I was gonna get at.
It's like those chuds in the pickup trucks that with the pit viper. With the pit vipers, and they're just like saying some egregious shit. And everyone's like, "Yeah, like what happened to America? Why can't we just say what we want?" And I'm like, "Bro, you could say what you want, bro, but like,
yeah, I point you to the Alien and Sedition Acts? I mean, like from the start of this country,
dude, you can, but do it with like in the group chat. Do it with your homies. Like, don't do it in front of Stacy from HR who just got hired out of a liberal college, who thinks that George Floyd is a hero. You know, like, don't, and the number one thing that's going to make your life easier is being freaking charming. Just be likable at your work and watch how everything just comes into. A lot of people come to work thinking that it's all about your job and doing hard work. I have been that guy where I worked really hard, and then I saw either a chick or another guy get like promoted, get treated better, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Then I realized, oh, well, the chick is a chick, right? But like the guy's like, oh, he's charming and funny and people like being around him, right? And sometimes he brings donuts for everyone. I'm like, oh, and I started doing that. And guess what? My bosses wanted to talk to me more, hang out, give me their personal stories, which may suck in a way if you don't want to hear your boss's golfing story or something. But guess what? That makes it much easier to work. And they overlook your mistakes and maybe lack of productivity in one day, right? Life is like that. You either want to win, you want to be right, or do you want to win? You know,
Do you want to be right or do you want to be? Rob always says it best. You can either be a fuck up or an asshole. You can't be both.
Yeah, it's like it's like this, but you know, you want them to feel good about you. You want them to have positive emotions, even if it's. I mean, some people might have to play a role or pretend in some way, shape, or form. But if you're just, I mean, a lot of people will be, but if you're yourself, you're cool, you're relaxed, everything like that, you can actually I hate to say, you can almost get away with a lot too.
What I always forgot, what I actually learned recently is that your first job is not to operate effectively. Your first job is to create operating capacity. What that means is you have to, to use Nuke's example, you have to, have the blessing of your boss. You have to make sure you're working well with other people. You have to make sure you have some favors you can call. You have to make sure that you're able to set up your system at your workplace so that there's still space for you to do extra, or to take a leave when you need to. Things like that. And if you're not set up that way, no matter how effectively you operate, you will burn out and you will work yourself to the ground. So
yeah, and in the parlance, we used to call that know your bandwidth.
Right.
How much can you take on? data, through the internet, depending on what's available and what type of networks you have. It only has a certain amount of bandwidth. And it's the same with you in your own workplace. You need to know, when you're starting to get burned out. You need to know when you've got too many assignments, when you're having to catch up and make phone calls to people that you missed, that you made a promise you would make 2 days ago, and you simply didn't do it because you didn't have time. You need to step back and know that, I'm not going to be able to take on any new tasks at this point. Getting back to the getting along to get along in the workplace. Everybody forgets that, it was written for prison, but it also works in corporate land as the 48 laws of power, and law 38 is very effective in the workplace. You have to think as you like, but behave like others in many instances. You have to wear many different masks to avoid problems, and also to get others to do what you want in the workplace. And when you let people think you believe as they do, that often flatters them, and it allows them to let down their guard. So you learn more about the ecosystem, or about how the workplace operates, faster than trying to view it from the outside with a set of eyes that is different from everybody else's. So you kind of keep half of your mind to yourself, and you go to work and you learn that culture as best you can in order to fit in and continue to move up and get raises. Because in the end, the goal is to make money. If you enjoy responsibility, then great, you can seek that. But if you can get paid as much as possible and have as little responsibility as possible, that's generally what people would prefer when they go to work. Or the fewer reports that they have, the better. It's like, okay, well, what do you do? Well, I run this department. How many people are under you? None. I am my only report, and I am this particular department because of my particular skill set. Something to that effect. You need to become somewhat indispensable to your employer too. That gives you leverage when it comes to negotiating salary and also benefits, because it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to try and hire somebody who does exactly the same thing that I do and burn millions of dollars in the process? No, it's easier to please me than it is to go search for somebody else who is 80% of me. And
not to mention the onboarding and the time it takes to get to know the person, all that shit. Yeah, the transactional costs.
I wish I could have Watson on here today. That would have been great. How he worked himself up from in a pristine guitar store, from photographer to graphic designer to apprentice in the workshop to now manager in that workshop.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, he worked himself up in there, and now he's getting extra manager training, things like that. But that would have been like some good stories to tell as well here in today. And Chesty, you mentioned like the goal is to earn money, and Mish had this in his list: how to get promoted or how to find a better job. Guys, add in here as you'd like, but Chest, how would you describe the best route to go for promotion? Oh, sorry, before you go, Seeds D 199 super chat, thank you very much. Good morning from Florida, wise old men. Sir, one of us is in our 20s, but thank you very much. Just apologies for interrupting.
Well, there are a couple of things. One, if you feel that you're underpaid from the beginning, that's kind of on you. And what I mean by that is there are entry-level positions where your ability to get paid anywhere near what you would like is generally negligible. You're not going to have any bargaining power. But if you're coming into a new job with a certain level of experience, first thing you need to know is how much does my position pay in similar corporations of similar size, and where my corporation is located. You need to know your worth. I sound like one of these chicks on the internet, but you need to know your worth prior to getting into negotiations for the position, the interview process, so on and so forth. And a lot of places still to this day, especially in the United States, they either post a range of acceptable salary requests, or they don't give any type of salary information at all until you're in your third or fourth interview. And Gov can probably speak to this as well, as far as when did they finally start talking about money and benefits? And it was probably the second to last or last interview that he had, because that's when they start to divulge those types of things to you, because they don't want you shopping for similar positions and running concurrent interviews with other companies if they can prevent it. So first things first is you need to know how much you should be paid, and you should during that process, at the very least, go ahead and ask yourself, well, how am I going to start this negotiation? And when the subject of money comes up, my recommendation to everybody is always to ask for 85% of whatever it is that is the highest in the market for that position. And the reason I don't say 100% is because if you are in competition with other people, you want to be able to give yourself some wiggle room to make a concession as far as what you're going to get paid as you're starting. Okay, so now you're in. All right, you're making 85-90% of what the maximum amount for entry level position is. You've got 6-8 months in on the job. You have good job performance. It appears that the staff like you. What's also important too is that support people like you as well. So like if you have a secretary or a secretary pool, or an HR pool, essentially the gossiping women, if you can get them on your side, you're also in much better when it comes to negotiate a raise or an increase in benefits of some kind. So again, you need to know what a person with your level of experience should be getting paid from a similarly sized corporation. And when you negotiate, be reasonable and fair about what you believe you deserve. And a lot of companies like to couch this in terms of percentages of your current salary. So let's say you make $100,000 and you've been with the company for 6 months, and that people in your position make closer to 125,000. And you go to HR and say, hey, look, I'd like to request an increase in compensation. I believe that 20% is fair. So if you know the numbers and they know the numbers, they know that your request for compensation pushes you up to $120,000. It's still within the range of acceptable salaries. And more often than not, if you put it that way, you'll do much better than if you just simply go into your boss and say, hey, I'd like a raise. And if you don't know how much you want, or if you give them a dollar amount that doesn't make any sense, they're not going to take you seriously, because if you take a flippant or a half-assed attitude negotiating your own salary, how does that reflect upon what you believe your actual work should be like? Okay, so that's the thing. You should be taking your negotiation of your increase in salary as seriously as your actual work. So that's the thing. I just I just believe that your competency, your ability to demonstrate, your skill in the position that you're in, the time that you've spent, and comparables in the job market are what you should use to negotiate a raise or an increase in benefits.
Nice. Dante, you haven't been here long. How would you handle it?
Well, so I actually got a second job recently. So I have some recent experience here. I treat the resume building, the interviewing, and the negotiating like a skill, the same way that I treated dating way back when, where these are discrete skills, you need to practice them, and you do lose them. So I know somebody that was in her job for 5 years, and she didn't apply, she didn't redo her resume, she didn't negotiate a salary, and the first time she tried, she just got floored because she didn't get the practice she needed. So treat it like a skill. And I've gotten the recommendation from other sources that it's probably a good idea to go do the interviews every 6 months, just so you could understand, like, okay, what's compensation at the companies I'm interested in? Am I up leveled or down leveled? What skills are being asked of people in my role that I might need to update? What advantages do I have? What disadvantages do I have? Things like that. So that might be somewhat useful as you're in the process of looking for a new job. But that's all I have to say about that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who wants
And
to?
I always say, like, I think millennials, we get a lot of bad rap from other generations because we like leave jobs. We're not very loyal to companies.
That's what I was going to say, Nuke.
Yeah. Like here's the thing.
They're not loyal to you. They're not loyal to you.
Exactly.
I don't begrudge that position at all.
Yeah.
Older people will use that as an excuse to say that why do we want to invest in you, because it appears as though you'll jump at the drop of a hat. Yeah, and if you have a resume that has 8 jobs in the last 7 years, yeah, I mean, it appears that a pattern has been formed here. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but go on. I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, no,
people with brains understand that has nothing to do with loyalty.
Yeah, but I would say, like, there's gonna be jobs where you just find yourself in a position where you're gonna be learning really high level skills, right? Whether it be like, let's say, use myself as an example. I learned how to operate nuclear reactors, right? That's a skill that, like, people pay millions. Like the military spends about $1 million per sailor to learn this skill, right? So it's a really high level skill. Lucky enough, there's disciplined assholes that forced me to be disciplined and learn this stuff, which I'm very appreciative of. And then now what happens is I leave the military and I say, okay, I can work for a power plant company operating a reactor. I can do electrical stuff, whatever. And then what happens is I start getting texts from different companies saying, hey, we know you're a nuke. We saw your LinkedIn. You want to work for us. So what happens is that you become like those girls that have their ass on Instagram, where you get all these DMs from from dudes trying to get with you or trying to fly you out. So what happens is you have this thing where you're like, okay, I have these skills. It's not so much about the money anymore. I just want to be comfortable. I have to weigh in different things. So you just want the leverage in life so you can be able to make these decisions. There will be points in your life where, like, I got to take this job. I got 3 choices and I'm going to choose one of them. But there's going to be positions. I think software engineers and like people in the software industry, they can jump from job to job pretty easily and they won't get judged too much for it. I think fintech is like that too. A lot of tech jobs are just like, yeah, you work for Google, come on board, come to Facebook, They don't care if you work for 3 months or 6 months. But I think that's just what they've told me. Maybe I could be wrong. But the ultimate thing you want in life when it comes to your career is that you want leverage. That's the best thing, right? Because, like, I have friends that did their master's degree and all that stuff, and they got out and they thought they had leverage because of that master's degree, right? And I would be like telling them, hey, I got a text from this company in Houston or Dallas or Austin. Hey, come work for us. This is what we offer. This is a snapshot or like a a window into our benefits. You want to do an interview, right? Obviously that doesn't mean anything. It's just a text, but I would show them that and they'd be like, like, what did you do that you get all that? I'm just like, dude, I just have leverage. And part of the way you get leverage is first your behavior. Like Jess said, if you had 7 jobs in 8 years, that removes a little bit less leverage in your life for getting a job, because you establish a pattern that you get fired a lot or you leave a lot. So that's not good for an employer. But if you have a certain set of skills and all that, and also you come from an institution or a kind of like a job field where you got to be tough, where you have to be smart, you have your people that come from your institution have a what do you call it? A reputation for being competent, even though you're not that competent yourself. Just the fact that you are associated with that institution, whether it be the nuclear Navy, whether it be Harvard, whether it be certain politics or political circles or something like that. Like if you go to a conservative company, right? Let's say you want to work for that My Pillow guy, right? What's his name?
Mike Lindell.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's in business still. And
Yeah.
you're applying to work for like a mid-level position in his company, right? And he sees, he's kind of like a Trumper guy, right? And he sees that you're like part of all these conservative, like, hey, this is what I do in my free time. I'm part of this conservative circle, even though they're kind of corny, a lot of the conservative circles. But he'll see like, okay, this guy, he comes from an institution that I respect and I like. And thus all that does is give you more and more leverage. And I think the ultimate thing to make your life easier with women, with jobs and everything is you want leverage, because the more leverage you have, the more choice. And there's so much power in choice. And ultimately, like, you work better as a person knowing that if things go wrong at this company, I can leave. You won't be as stressed. You'll be happier, and then you kind of appreciate where you're at in life more. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Gov, you wanted to add more to that?
No, I mean, the only things I was going to add was that it really also depends on like the company or the industry too, because some companies and industries, it's almost like they're made to get the skills off of them and then move up in the world somewhere, and you won't make a raise within that specific company. And the only way to get a raise is to get a new job. And that's why I personally can't even fault some people for going from one job to another, because heck, I've done that before, and that's been the only time I stuck with somebody was whenever the company itself was good, had a lot of good benefits, a lot of good outlook on increases in pay, things like that. And so the company also has to provide that sense of, why should I stay with you? And whenever you can ditch me at any time, they should be giving some kind of leverage themselves as well, saying, yeah, this is what we can give you. This is how we can keep you, basically. That was it.
Og?
One of the things I wanted to bring up here, and we haven't kind of touched on this too much yet, but you'll see no end of these like Alpha Spartan 42069 moron fuckers on Twitter saying you have to grind nonstop and you can't do anything your boss tells you because he's a fucking moron, and all this nonsense out there.
Return.
And, yeah. And
With the Roman V.
But so much of it in the workplace is kind of like what Nuke said earlier. It's just about being likable and enjoyable. And that's not necessarily being like, you're a pushover or something. I remember my previous job here when I was a trades guy in the same shop for about 3 years. And I went to maybe like 1 or 2 work functions a year, but they always had like the bar nights every other week or something like that, or, that kind of stuff. And yeah, I made it, I went out of my way to go to like some of them, but not like all of them as well. Like it kind of established it early. It's like, no, Hawk likes to do his own thing kind of deal. He's here for work and everything, but I never had an issue. The ladies in the office always liked me. And like Nuke said earlier, they definitely overlooked some of like the maintenance of some of my vehicles because I like to keep my stuff in a certain order. It's like, well, that's not where everyone puts their shit. It's like, I don't care. It works better for me. And, never really threw a hissy fit about it. But I do remember one guy in my office who just absolutely fucking lost his shit on one of the ladies in the office for one of the most ridiculous things. He thought they weren't respecting him, like, you got to respect me, bitch, And I'm just sitting there laughing the whole time when he's like chewing out one of the ladies in the other room here. And lo and behold, like the next day, the same lady in the office is like, why can't all the employees just be like you, Hawk? And like, well, that's pretty nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm built different, ma'am. Did you know?
Yeah.
Ma'am.
I'm not like these other guys.
I bet you say that to all the employees. Let's see, real quick, Juando with the €2 super chat. Thank you very much, Juando. Also, how far up you want to go with great power? Yeah, I mean, that's like the thing. Rob and I talked about that. We've talked about that so many times. Where, let's say you get a position at a job and you're very good at it. And your employer says, you know what, you're going to get a promotion, but not just in salary, also in function. And then you get the new job position, sorry, not function position. You get the new job position and you completely suck at it. How far do you want to go? And do you want to exceed your own capabilities? My dad had so many stories about that. People who used to work in the warehouse, they were just good at what they were doing. And then they got promoted again, and then all of a sudden they sucked at their job, had a mental breakdown, and had a burnout.
Women in the military. Welcome to women in the military.
Oh my God.
We want women leadership. Let's promote them all the way up. And then how many times have I walked in the office to a girl kind of like stressed, or been in the plant and they're like, and I have to like do their like make decisions for them because they're just at their wits' end. Like it's. Trust me, that is like a normal. I'm guessing it's normal in the corporate world, but there have been times where I get email. Like even today, I get emails, and I love my account manager. She's great, but she's like, "What should we do in this situation?" I was like, what do you mean? Like, do you want me to make the call? This is okay, sure." And I just make the call, and she's like, "Oh my God, thank you." And I was like, wait, that was your job to make that call. But hey, I like my job, so I want to keep it. So I will chime in on decisions now because that's what you need from me. So I'll do it.
If you can get paid for it as well, that would be best. I mean, that's the thing. Like, what kind of promotion do you want is what I'm trying to say. Chesty mentioned it as well. Like, the least amount of responsibility for the most amount of pay is actually the golden place to be in some cases. Because the higher up you get, the more stress you will get as well. And you have to know yourself as a person if you can manage that stress, or if you even want that stress, even when you can handle it.
Well, there is this phenomenon.
The Peter principle. Somebody talked about the Peter principle. It's in the chat.
Yes. It's the highest level of incompetency that you can reach within an organization is where you'll be promoted.
Yep.
And that's true. The larger a corporation is, the easier it is to hide your incompetency as well, because you have the power to delegate. If you have more subordinates and you don't know what the hell you're doing and they've been working their job forever, it's just easier to assign the work to them and take the credit for it because you happen to be the person who's above them in the chain of command. You might not know anything about any of that stuff or how to do it properly. I mean, my dad, as an example, he was just a line grunt in a factory for General Motors for 35 years, but he helped develop 5 or 6 different industry standards for how to produce and replicate cast iron parts for engines. But did he receive the credit for that? No, the person who managed the line did, because that's the leadership position. So again, could that guy, pack that sand, pour 2,600 degree, cast iron into a mold, figure out how to pack that mold properly so that part comes out smooth and requires less deburring,
Probably not.
No, and that's the whole thing, is because they're not hands-on. But in the situation with a corporation, there's none of that physical stuff. It's all mental offloading that you give your subordinates. And if they're willing to do the work and they understand the work, you don't necessarily have to in order to receive credit for it, because then you're a good leader. It's not that you necessarily know the job or the position. There are, all the way up to CEO, there are positions that people hold for years and years and years, and they might be competent only in a very small aspect of it. I mean, that's why there's so many vice presidents in a lot of these companies. I'm VP of executive, such and such. It's only when you get to the C-suite where you see a direct accountability for people and that they get removed. So you have your COO, your CTO, and your CEO, chief technology officer, chief operating officer, and chief.
Yeah, it's like head coach, and like in football, like the head coaches are the ones that get always fired, but then the defense coordinators kind of like,
right.
I made a
out.
tweet about this the other day. I called the CEO the bottom bitch. Yeah, that's basically what they.
Yeah, well, but you got to remember though too that part of the great part about being in the C-suite is that your negotiated benefits and salary are ridiculous. I mean, and you also have golden parachutes in many instances where you get paid even if you fail. You get your stock bought out. Those types of things where it doesn't harm you to actually not do a perfect job in those positions because they know that you're the chopping block figurehead. And that's the thing about most of this stuff is that depending on the size of the company, you can hide your incompetency. The bigger the company, the easier it is. And of course, the bigger companies also generally pay the best as well. So that's the thing. If you're going to go corporate, go balls to wall corporate. Don't go 7 people in an office corporate.
Yeah, and then people for smaller companies, you tend to have to be more of a jack of all trades. Like you'll be doing stuff that like, you may have one position, but the company's so small that the company figured out, hey, we need someone to do this. Can you do this until we hire someone? And I mean.
That is,
that happens.
Man, that's exactly the thing I was going to say is that you don't want to fall into that trap either. I have seen that more times than I can count where you'll be in a smaller company and you think, oh, I'll get to know all the people and everything. And there should be, a lot of benefits to that kind of thing. But while getting to know the people is nice, okay, let's just put it this way. You're assigned one task or one role as a data person, and then they put you into a role that's completely opposite to what you fail in that other role that you're not even assigned to, you can get cut from the company quite easily too. And so playing it a little bit more naively in a bigger company is a lot easier to do, I've noticed.
If
you'll get the talk from management at a certain point, regardless of company size or structure, where you'll be encouraged to here's some of the buzzwords: integrate skill sets, cross train. Cross train's a fabulous euphemism for we are probably going to let somebody go in a department and fuck you with extra work that you're unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
So get ready. There's also, team player. Team player is another great euphemism for we are going to grind you until you die.
Yes.
So you have to kind of recognize the management speak when it comes time to possibly look to jump ship, because you're either going to be losing departments, or you're going to be losing people from certain places, and everybody else is going to be expected to increase their own workload to make up for that person that was lost at no increase of salary and no increase of benefits. I think I posted like maybe about a week ago the picture of a whole bunch of pizzas lined up along the wall on a bunch of tables.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
In the break
That's
room.
fucking funny.
Yeah. So and my caption was, well, we just laid off half the sales staff. you know, and what they're trying to do is boost morale through food. And this
Yep.
happens all the time at
Yep.
companies. It's like, hey guys, you know, let's you know, we can do it. You know, here's some pizza to show you how much you know, we believe in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I go to,
Are you gonna fix your fucking systems? No. We've got
No.
Subway.
If you say anything, they'll say, "Wow, how ungrateful!" Wait, you know,
Makes
and
the
you-
worker ants happy with their sugary, carby, processed food. Real
Yeah.
quick, X Runner 55 for the $5 super chat. Thank you very much, X Runner. Be as loyal to your company as they are loyal to you. Yeah, that pretty much is what it comes down to.
Mhm.
my company just got like 500 best companies to work for in America. That we just got voted for that, or
Nice.
or 300
Vouch?
best, some kind of
Could you
award.
vouch? Could you vouch?
Uh,
Nice.
I don't
You
know.
got-
I got a raise this year.
Mm.
My account manager, like I don't have any. I'm a very appreciative person. I have a lot of gratitude. Because of my jobs with other companies have been shitty. I come from the military too, so like not
Yeah.
deploying is nice. Going home to sleep in your own bed every night is
There's
nice. You know,
perspective for sure.
yeah, and so that's why a lot of times people think they like to that military guys are hired because of, you know, I love the country and America, which in a sense, yeah, but it's mostly because we have eaten the shit sandwich for so long that anything we work at is we're gonna have a smile on their face, and
Yep.
companies know that, and we're gonna show
I've-
up on time with a smile on our face and be happy because we've had a shit sandwich for so long that, you know.
For
Yep.
some reason, you guys seem to be good PMs as well. You know how to project manage yourself. You know how to project manage like an engagement. You guys are pretty good at that.
Well,
Yeah.
the
I don't
thing
know
is, the
why.
military is the only place where, like, at 20 years old, you're gonna be in charge of like 10 people, right?
Oh, okay.
Whether it be
There
in
we go.
in a nuclear plant or on a battlefield or in an office, like if just by being one rank above, because you know there's always an influx of people coming in, and that's pretty insane, you know, a 20-year-old, right? And you get this perspective of, man, you're dealing with retards from like since you're 20, because you're retarded at 20, but there's people at 18 are slightly more retarded than you, and then you get to 25 and you get more retards to be in charge of, and now you're just like, wait, I was 20 and a retard. This is what it feels like to be in charge of me when I was 20 and I was a retard. And then you go through life and you're just like, wait, I'm always less retarded than I was, but the guys in charge of me are probably less retarded. And you kind of get a perspective of just like, you know, I've eaten the shit sandwich for so long and I work for a company where I don't have to deal with the same things. I'm happy. I'm okay with this. You know, it could always be worse and all that. But they take advantage of that. A lot of companies take advantage of that, and that they were like, okay, well, this veteran guy, he doesn't know any better. He doesn't know what a good life is. So let's give him the shit sandwich here at this company because they won't leave. They're super loyal. And that's why most veterans, when they get out of the military, they quit their first job within a year, because first off, they have trouble going from speaking their mind and calling people the FAG word to corporate HR language. And a lot of people get fired. A lot of veterans have trouble with that because they're just like, you mean I can't tell one of my employees to go fuck himself because he sucks? No, you can't do that. You have to use corporate language, or you have to sit him in this room right here and sit him down. I can't do that in the hallway like I used to do on the ship. No, you have to, you know, they have feelings and emotions too. And that's tough for a lot of veterans. So that
Your
transition was
performance
also
needs
tough for me.
improvement. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, last super chat, and then we're going to wrap it up. XRunner55 for another $5. Thank you very much. Top skill is learn to communicate between different levels, different mediums. Join a local Toastmasters to learn to present. What's Toastmasters?
Can I comment on this real quick?
Yes, go ahead, Jesse.
Toastmasters is a group that basically works on public speaking. It's kind of an offshoot of the Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. There's a reason why that book is on the sidebar. We encourage you to become communicative with people at different levels, learn to fit into any social situations, and be able to speak in public with a bit of conciseness and smoothness. you can't be a basement dweller forever, man. It's just not going to work. You're not going to do well in the corporate world, and you're not going to get laid. So you might as well learn learn one skill that translates to many areas at one time. And
You gotta be like Ferris Bueller, basically. You gotta become Ferris Bueller. You gotta be cool with everyone.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. Don't be Cameron.
Yeah, be Ferris.
Yeah. Guys,
dying.
let's wrap it up. Where can people find you? Nuke?
I mean, I got Twitter. I'll put my link in the chat here in a sec. And YouTube. Yeah, come watch me Tuesdays and Thursdays to talk about red pill stuff, dating stuff, and Rule Zero, dragons, and all that. And I think RP Thori has I think Glenn Lawrence made it a what do you call it? A GoFundMe for RP Thor. If you guys would like to donate, RP Thor has some serious health issues that are developing. So if you guys would like to develop that will help them out. Him and his wife Missy, who also had a terrible accident recently. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Nice. Hawk?
I'll just echo what Nuke said real quick. Yeah, definitely donate to Thor if you can. Guy's like one of the nicest dudes you'll ever run into on this side of the internet for sure. So definitely toss a few bucks if you can. For myself, just check out the Twitter, check out my Substack, and I posted my long-awaited paleontology piece on the Old Glory Club last week.
Hell yeah, my favorite topic to talk to you. I love dinosaurs.
That was making really good numbers. I worked a long time on that one. And if you guys fancy like American politics, American news, check out the Old Glory Club, which I run with a bunch of my buddies. So that's all I got.
Dante?
Help people who were sick. So I don't know Thor very well, but he seems like a good dude. So if you feel charitable this new year, feel free. Second thing I'd like to say is get off Twitter. It's just getting worse and worse.
No, but I love fucking with people.
I take the total opposite to this, Dante. I love Twitter. Been on it for a decade. Fucking love it. But I know it's not for everyone.
And I'm tired of pretending I don't. Like
block everybody you can. Find friends if you
That's
must.
true.
But Twitter is not a place to be. To learn anything or be productive. So
no,
Right.
you gotta read a fucking book or do something. Please read a book for the love of God.
Yeah, if you know what it is, it could be a lot of fun. But most people don't know what it is.
It could be. I talk with Rob and all that. So for me, just go to the Substack. I post there when I feel like it. So I don't know.
Nice. Chesty, do you even want to be found?
Well, I mean, I'm on Twitter shit posting generally, and I just make general observations about the things I find in life to be absurd for the most part. I'm only here to hopefully show people that this is just a big cyclic pattern of stupidness, and that not hooking up with girls, going to war, having a hard time at work is just a big flat circle, and that these people have been doing the same thing for 8-10 years at a time. You get the same morons who are pontificating and moralizing, essentially on now election cycles on Twitter and Facebook. So just pay attention to what's going on and learn to think for yourself. And I was on this show for less than an hour and a half, and I mentioned 2 sidebar books. I mean, I think we're starting to lose the basics. How to behave in public, how to recognize when people are manipulating you.
The internet is not real.
The internet is real, but it's shrinking, and if anything, it's dead, and it's being fed to you by people who don't like you. I think that's a better explanation. But in the end, you gotta find people. You got to find people who share viewpoints with you. You got to find younger people who understand that this is all stuff worth learning. And I'm at that point now where I'm, the torch passing position as opposed to the vanguard and people who should be spearheading, the public face of this stuff. you know, we're all getting older. Some of us aren't getting wiser, and you know, you don't simp for your guru. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Gov.
Stand for yourself. Jesus Christ.
Well, I don't have much more to add to that other than if anybody's listening to this and they can't see the comments or anything for RP Thor's GoFundMe, I have it on the top of my Twitter right now, which I linked in comments, GOV_Megatron. You can find it there. And I going back to everybody talking about Twitter. Yeah, don't take it too seriously, as my bio used to say, but now I got tits in bio. So that's all you got from me.
Okay. Guys, all the links are in the chat. The links to the channels are all in the description. The GoFundMe is in the chat. Thank you very much for hanging out with us today. Thank you very much for the super chat, Siege, Juando, and X-Runner. Hit the like, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below your thoughts of this show, and we will see you guys next week. Cheers.
My ass in bio.